Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining us for this Oshwal Sports Talk. As we do, we will first start with the Navka mantra. Hi, all. Thank you for joining us in this Oshwal Sports Talk. And I welcome all our panelists, and I hope all of you are ready to inspire us. This talk will also be live on YouTube, and we will post it, and the links can be circulated later on. We have Mayur Bhai, the table tennis and business maestro, here with us. We have Kamal Shah, who is our dolphin in the water. We have Ravindu Shah, who is our cricket hero. We have Bhavnish Chandaria, who's our golf champ, and he's logging in from Mara. Thanks a lot, Bhavnish. And hopefully there's no leopard that comes into the background in your Zoom. We have Chirag Shah, who's logging in from UK, who's a squash champion and also big in sports marketing. And we have Milish Shah, the only lady panelist, who's also logging in from UK. Thank you very much. She's a tennis champion. So the reason for this talk and having these superstar panelists is to see how we can take Oshwal Sports to a greater height. We want to get good insights from the panelists and advice, and we will take it forward from there. But firstly, I'd like to pass over to our VOC Nairobi chairman, Janet Shah, to say a few opening words. Janet, over to you.
Thank you, Vishal. A very good evening to all of you, and thank you for logging into today's Zoom session, which promises to be a very interesting and motivational session. Globally, sports plays a very crucial role where race, gender, and social backgrounds are put aside on playing fields for one passion. Similarly, it has been a binding factor within the community, with both old and young alike playing the various sports. We have had Oshwals representing the community at various inter-community events, like the Festival of Friendship, and yet Oshwal sportsmen and women have taken it a bar higher and represented the country at national levels. Tonight, we get a chance to meet and hear from some of our Oshwal international sports stars. Sports has been a key factor bringing the community together. Over the last few months, the importance of keeping fit has come to the fore, and more people have realized the importance of playing sports or maintaining a general level of fitness. As with all spheres of our lives, over the last 18 months, there's been a lot of disruption for sports people, including the delay in last year's Olympics, which officially starts tomorrow. And I'm hoping that all of you are geared for, all the sports people are geared for, going to the Olympics. We hope that the situation will improve and some form of normality will resume. It is my sincere belief that as a community, we perhaps don't do much to promote sports within the community. With this in mind, the current management team has decided that over the next few months, we must engage and see how we can increase sports participation and promote healthy lifestyles. We encourage all parents and sports people watching to take on more unusual sports and challenge them to get to international levels. In sports, there are winners and losers. However, the most important aspect of any sports and what counts more than anything else is the participation and passion that one shows towards sports. Today, I say this to all of you present. Please carry on showing the same levels of commitment to sports. Let's strive for better results and make ourselves and the community proud. I'm hoping many of you will benefit from today's speakers and pick some very useful information from them. Thank you so much for all of you to attend this evening, and I think I'll pass it on back to you, Vishal.
Thank you, Jinesh Bhai, for those opening words. Much appreciated. I'd like to ask all the panelists now to briefly introduce themselves in 1 or 2 minutes and give your background, your sporting achievements, your current situation in life, and your involvement in sports currently. Can we start with Mayur Bhai, as he's the eldest from the panelists? Mayur Bhai?
Yeah, you can hear me well? You can hear me? Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thank you to the chairman and the assistant secretary. Thank you to all the panelists who are great to be here. Yeah, my name is Mayur, born in Karatina, Kenya, and grew up schooling here in Nairobi, and went to studies, further studies into in USA. I think to me, besides education, sports was equally important. Not only to me, even to my family, even to the parents, and what an excellent backing we had from them. Although they would not know when we used to win the tournaments or there were journeys around, they would not know until we come with the home with sometime win, sometime lose, depending, you know. I started my career when I was in standard 7 at Oshwal Primary. I give credit to the Oshwal Primary School because they had a lot of good sporting facilities. And I think the important day which we as students were looking was the sports day. So we had the wheelbarrow, the pick-up bag, and running and all that. And I remember we used to come first, second, or third in running. And that really led us to get into the sporting world. The teachers were wonderful, and there were great teachers like Usha Ben, Damu Ben, Mrs. Talwar, and so many other guys, ladies, great of them. From there, then when I started sports in standard 6, that was 1973, at the Oshwal Majanwadi, where the seniors would not allow the youngsters to go in, but we would sneak in when they were not there. So it was a very tough battle, and we used to use the Pioneer bat, which was the Chinese and the simplest because we could not afford the other type of racket or the table tennis bat. So from there, we went to, after joining Majanwadi, we went to Aryan's club, which was a very well elite club for the table tennis players. So when we started, we went on there was A, B, C, D. So D are all the beginners. So we had, as a beginner, we had to go to the table D and then go on to C, B, and after winning some tournaments. And that was very challenging, very inspiring, because you could see the great players like Hitesh Shah, my brother Bharat Shah, Vipin Khanna, Sharat Gai, and many others, ladies also, that inspired us that we want to be on table A. So in standard 6, I think Oshwal Youth League tournament in Mombasa, I lost to one Mr. Prabhulal Bhai.
Sorry, Mayur Bhai. Sorry, yeah. Can I interrupt you? Some of this detail is going to come in some of the questions I'm going to be asking you later.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just wanted a brief intro to everybody so all the audience knows.
Okay. Sorry, I've taken long.
No,
okay.
No worries.
Thank you. And so the great inspiration was representing Kenya, All Africa Games and World Championships. Yeah. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Mayur Bhai. And yeah, we look forward to more detail from you shortly.
Thank you.
Can I ask Ravindu next to briefly introduce himself?
Jai Jinendra, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity, Chairman Vishal. Much appreciate this. It's been an inspiring journey. Mayur Bhai said a lot of things which are really pertinent to me as well. The family background, having a wholesome family around the opportunities when I was young, and that has continued through even today, until my wife, my children, they all inspire us. They all keep encouraging us to continue doing what we try and achieve along the way. And I think we're just fortunate to be in this panel or be called ambassadors when we're actually given this opportunity because of a lot of sacrifices, people before us, people around us. So in a nutshell, I think cricket has been part and parcel of our family for years. My dad, my brothers, and it just inspired to continue it. And fortunate to be part of a group of youngsters at Narab Gymkhana who started off, forget anything, but we had to carry the kids out of all these superstars at that time from their cars into the changing rooms. That's how it started for some of us. We used to have to sit outside, wait outside. We used to have to score. And we were lucky to carry a set of cricket whites. At that time, there was no colored clothing, no T20, nothing of that sort. Into Narab Gymkhana of all these amazing cricketers over the years that I've come across, few that I played with. But it all started from there. The whole passion, the whole importance of what it all meant. And along the way, the journey has been incredible. Playing at Gymkhana, started off much younger than I played for the school. It went up to the university levels, captaining the university, went on to club cricket in England as a professional, came back to Kenya, played for the club side here, led the club side, played for Kenya, led Kenya at a few games. And then it was a few World Cups that I played. But beyond that, it was just incredible to rub shoulders against people who we all watch on TV, we all admire, which we all feel, wow. But they're no different to you and I. You know, we're all the same. At the end of the day, it's just about putting our mind to it and taking every single opportunity and wishing for the best. There's 6 other superstars here as well, so they'll tell you more about that. Thanks.
Thanks, Ravindu. And yeah, we look forward to listening to your stories with the superstars. Can I ask Chirag Shah to introduce himself and request, can you just keep it to a minute? Yeah.
Sure. Hi, guys. I'm Chigs. I'm based out in London. So my squash career started at Oshwal Complex. I remember as a junior playing with actually Vishal and a few friends from there. So I remember that and eating lots of chips. Then I was a junior champion in Kenya. I managed to travel quite a lot, all the 5 continents through squash. Was part of the university team, similar like to Ravindu. Played in the team championships, played for the county in the UK, and then eventually got to Kenya #1 as well. From a career point, I decided I wanted to go into sports marketing, so did that for a while, then moved into financial services, and now I am working for Mars Chocolates, the complete opposite from sports, but I look after the chewing gum brand Extra in the UK. And then in terms of what I do outside nowadays, I play lots of sports still, but one of the things I now do is teach yoga as well. So at some point I might do a headstand during. Be mindful. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chirag. Kamal, can I ask you to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I think having heard all the 3 other superstars here, my name is Kamal. I used to swim for Kenya between 1989 and I think 1999. I've represented Kenya in many, many international competitions, won a few medals. And for me, sports was an outlet from my financial background because we didn't have any money for further education. And I think sports really paved my way through university. And today I run a safari company. We also do a lot of community projects in Northern Kenya. And one of the focuses is on assisting unprivileged kids, especially in Northern Kenya, in Marsabit and Samburu County. So that's who I am in a nutshell. And I'm sure I'll share more details as we go on with this session.
Thank you, Kamal. Very impressive, and I can see some lovely photos you've shared with us. Bhavnish, can you give us a brief intro of yourself? And everyone, Bhavnish is not going to be on video as he's in Mara. He doesn't want his data to be interrupted.
Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you, Chairman, all the panelists. Thanks for giving us this opportunity to reach out to the community. I think it's a wonderful gesture. So I'm 37-year-old now. I was born and brought up in Kenya by my parents, Nisha and Dinesh, in a family of 5. My elder brothers, Amit and Hetul, were very much a part of my golfing sort of career. They've all supported me, thoroughly, as Ravindu had obviously said as well. I'm married to Sonal and have 2 wonderful kids who are 10 and 5, taking up the game now. I actually started playing golf at the age of 9, just through an inspiration of my parents who had started at a similar time. And it just became a lifelong sort of obsession for me. I still play, not obviously at a professional level. I never played at a professional level, but at a reasonably high amateur level. I played for Kenya between 1998, and my highlight was captaining the national team in 2015. And since sort of moving back from the UK in 2012, I've been quite involved with giving back to the game. So I've chaired, captain and chaired Muthaiga Golf Club, and have been fairly active in the Golf Talent Foundation through the Kenya Golfing Union. And really look forward to sort of sharing some of my experiences, with the community, and happy to help anyone who's sort of looking to pursue a career or just get into the game of golf. So thanks, Vishal and team.
Okay, thanks, Bhavnish. And last but not least, can we ask our girl superstar, Millie, to introduce yourself? Millie, if I can request, if you can keep it to a minute. We have so many questions which we want to go through. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Millie. I grew up in Mombasa, which is where I learned to play tennis at the Mombasa Sports Club. And after that, I was on a tennis scholarship in America, in California. So the tennis for me paid for my education as well. And yeah, it's a passion in my life. I still play tennis pretty much every day. I'm a tennis coach in the UK. I coach at Ealing Lawn Tennis Club. And I guess the highlight of my career was when I was selected to play for Great Britain in 2019 at the World Championships in Miami. So yeah, I was part of the women's over 40s team, and we finished 5th at the World Championships. And so yeah, that's basically me in a nutshell. But yeah, the tennis has definitely had an amazing impact on my life, and it's still a very big part of my life even today. Thank you.
Thank you, Millie. It looks like you're in Wimbledon with your background. And yeah, thanks a lot for logging in from UK. So to everybody, we'll now ask the panelists some open-ended questions, which will also be a nice discussion point. I will then ask each of the panelists of some fun short answer questions. We call it a quick fire round. And then if the audience has any questions, kindly send them to the Visa Oshwal community Zoom account or on our chat here. And we'll try and take up as many as we can towards the end. So yeah, I'll start on the questions now. So the first question I have is about coaching. How important was a coach in any of your journeys, and how important is a coach to any aspiring Oshwal youngster or even a parent? Can I start with Ravindu? And can I request we keep the answers a minute? And if any of your answers are similar to a previous panelist, just say same as so-and-so, so we can move on. Ravindu, do you have any thoughts on coaching?
Yeah, sure. Very important. I think most of us, you heard, it started from grassroots levels, which is from home, having father figures, mother figures, grandparents, brothers, sisters, cousins, friends, who are part and parcel of the sport or have a vision around it, are very important in directing you. And then it's about zooming in further. So, of course, in this day and age, parents in this really difficult, tough environment play a part. Schools play a part. And today, I think the community has taken a huge step forward with Chairman's words to take a part in giving those sort of platforms. And then specialized training comes later on. But being part and parcel of school setup or club setup or an academy setup, which is what's happening more often now, and then take it forward. And as soon as I think you've identified where you stand and what your ambition, what your outreach, where do you want to take it to, that's where I think family support, club support comes in to really then get in the specialized coaching. Very important, very necessary. I've been fortunate to be able to train with some of the best coaches in the world, including a few, I can mention Bob Woolmer, who was one of the best in the world at his time, who helped in many technical ways, which sometimes really make a difference when you're out there against some tough and top opposition in the world. So, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Good points, Ravindu. Bhavnish, can I ask you specifically, because your sport is golf. How important is a coach in golf?
Yeah, thanks, Vishal. So I'll just give you a bit of a background. So when I started playing golf, I actually self-learned, and I was taught by a caddy who had a reasonable level of understanding, but nowhere near any sort of knowledge to take a player to an elite level. So I built in quite a few bad habits, and I got to a very reasonable level. I played for Kenya and the US in 2015, at which point I was scouted by some coaches in the US for college, and they spoke to my parents. And they said that, to have any hope to get to the next level, I would need to have a technical coach and sort of a bubble around me to help with a lot of facets of the game. So we didn't pursue the US option. I found a coach in the UK, and it took me almost 2 years just to rebuild and take out bad habits from a young age. So I would really encourage, anyone who's starting any sport to start in the right way. It just sets you, sets you a foundation to really get better and consistent. And now there's so much help out there, so don't do it on your own. Definitely find a coach, do some research in the coach's abilities as well. And it doesn't have to be one coach. It can be a coach for your technical swing. It can be a coach for your mind. It can be a coach for your diet. So there's quite a few different facets. But that's obviously when you get to an extremely high level that you want to pursue the game at that stage. But to start off with, like Ravindu said, your bubble around you is really critical as well. So your schools, the structure in your club, forming bonds with people in a club and getting dedicated to a specific club, because it just means that you have that opportunity to pursue the sport in an in-depth way rather than just dabble in it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll ask Kamal this question, and then we'll move on to the next one. Kamal, I know we used to swim together in St. Mary's, and if I may be frank, some of the swimming coaches we had in St. Mary's were not all that. And then I know you took your swimming to another level. You had South African coaches. So what's your take on coaches and how important they are from a grassroots level, or do you need them much later on?
I think I agree with everybody, what Bhavnesh Ravindu has mentioned, that you've got to get your basics right. And I think one of the things that youngsters have today is they have options and a lot of information is available. I think during our times, whatever we got, we took. There was no choice because, opportunities in terms of getting coaches were limited. So whatever we've done in the last previous 20 years or whatever, and where we've been, I think today's youngsters have a bigger platform or bigger opportunities to take forward. But coming back to, I think, on the issues of coaches, I think the parents play a very important role. And I think one of the things that needs to happen is don't take any shortcuts. because sports is a process. It is, you know, you've got to put in the hours, you've got to put in the foundation. I mean, everybody will tell you here that, I mean, they must have been training 2 or 3, 4, 5 hours a day. I mean, even to maybe like just Ravindu, maybe 150 kilometers or 140 kilometers to face that open as an opening batsman, you need a certain amount of skill, certain amount of eye training. The same thing with Mayur, you know, when somebody puts a shot, the same thing with Millie and even, you know, I always forget, and Chirag, yeah. So I think parents need to look at the long-term bit. It's just not about winning. It's about the whole process of enjoying the sport, the team aspect. That should be on the mind that, oh, my child must be the best. Let them enjoy it, and then let their talent be nurtured. And some kids may be good at certain things. Some kids may not be good at certain things. And what I sometimes find, I'm not a parent, but what I find is if my kid has won, that means, you know, somebody else, some other parents will say, even my kid needs to win. No, each and everybody has got a different talent. You've got to nurture it. And I think that is where coaches come in.
Okay.
So that's my 2 cents of it. Yeah.
Thanks, Kamal. And I can see there's some questions coming in. There's a lady called Neera Shah. Neera wanted to know, how do you know which sport your children should specialize in from at what age? Neera, we'll come to that question. It's part of the questions, and we'll even take it at the end. I'll move on to the next question. I'm just seeing on time, and just a request. I know you guys have to say your points, but let's try and summarize them more so the audience gets the quicker points, and you all have a chance. My next topic might hit a nerve amongst the audience, even some of you, but it's about Oshwal having a back foot in sports, maybe from a young age, because let's face it, we are not blessed with the best genetics. Oshwals don't have the most physical or muscular bodies. I know when I was in St. Mary's, there were other races. You're playing physical sports like rugby, basketball. As an Oshwal, you used to feel it. And secondly, our diet. We all grew up in predominantly vegetarian households, so we didn't get enough protein. So can I ask the panelists, how did that affect you, Oshwal's genetics and diet issues? How did you overcome it? Do any of you take supplements? Can I start with Chirag on this?
Yeah, sure. It's a really good question, Vishal. And I guess I'll have 2 answers. One is when I was younger, what I thought and what I do believe now. So when I was younger, I had this view of because I'm vegetarian, because I don't have the genetics as someone else, other races are blessed with, I thought I was at a back foot. And it was very much of a mental thing. Yeah, and that kind of held me back a little bit in terms of my belief system. Whereas if I look at it now, actually, I look at it very differently. And I'm like saying, listen, everyone has their strengths in the areas where they might not be as blessed, right? And I'd be saying, this thing of being vegetarian is absolutely fine. In fact, being vegetarian, actually, the quality of protein is better. It might just not be as convenient to get all the food that you want. A lot of top athletes are vegetarian right now. So for me, just summarizing that point, it's more to do with the mindset you have. I don't think your genetics are, no one has the perfect genetics. It's kind of saying, okay, what are my strengths in my genes? And then it's about using them in a very good way and leveraging them.
Okay, thank you. Mayur bhai, you're the eldest here, and of course, you started sports from a much older generation when diet and nutrition wasn't even that predominant, and households had mostly Shak Rotli. How did you face? Because of course, in your sport, table tennis, the physical aspect doesn't come into it. But what's your take on that and supplements and all? Mayur bhai, please unmute yourself.
Okay, is it clear?
Yes.
Yeah, number one is very important that you have, the diets, and I think most important goes back to the number one priority is discipline. If you have the discipline in your diet, in your genetics, you can achieve it. There is no ifs and buts. And frankly speaking, when I was in the high school, you won't believe, because in 100 meters I came number 3 and I was on the podium. and never any Asian in the history of high school was there on the sports day on a podium. So you have to believe in yourself that you can do it. And yes, the diets are there special, vegetarian food, excellent. We were all vegetarian when we grew up. And mind you, during our days, we couldn't afford the bus fare. Either we used to get lift, which people used to give us, or we used to jog or run from Nagara to Third Parklands. And that was excellent physical fitness. So that gave us the extra energy to go into the different sports. And then one thing I really want to get into, which other panelists have said very nicely and excellent, you have to try a variety of sports to know which one. I think we'll come back to Ms. Neha's question later on, but I think it's very important you try a variety of sports to make sure that what really fits in your DNA. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Kamal, I'll ask this specific question to you because I know you faced it, diet issues. And then I know when you moved to South Africa for your swimming, you had to alter certain things. You were in St. Mary's, you saw other races who are stronger, bigger. What's your take? Do Oshwals have a back foot when when we start sports from a young age? And how do we overcome it?
I think let me go back to what Chirag mentioned, that it's all about attitude. Today you have top-notch athletes. I think is it Djokovic who's vegan, Virat Kohli is vegan. So I think it's an excuse. And I think, unfortunately, we come from a culture where we are always told, don't do it. No, this is not right. If you say something, this is not the right thing to say. So I think it's, I don't know if it's a cultural thing that we have, but I think it's all about attitude. It's about mindset. Like, one of my fiercest competition was a gentleman called Anthony Lealaha. He was, half white, half African. And when I got to, I think when I was 14, 15, I swam faster than him. I was much slimmer, not like now the way I am, much slimmer. But I think I had that belief that I could win. But when I go back, I think it's that attitude of saying I can rather than I can't. And I think that's what one needs to focus on rather than saying, oh, vegetarians are like this, or I can't do this, X, Y, Z. So it's a positive mental attitude.
Okay, so hopefully we'll have a Oshwal in the Kenya Rugby Sevens team soon. Yeah. I'll go into my next topic. It's about motivation for each one of you, because we want all the audience and youngsters watching to see what motivation you guys had to excel in your sports. Millie, can I start with you? What really motivated you to really succeed in tennis?
To be honest, I don't know why. It was tennis that that I started playing and that I enjoyed when I was young. I tried lots of different sports. I played badminton. I went swimming. And even tried lots of other things that my mom wanted me to try, like ballet and playing the piano. But it was really only the tennis that interested me and that stuck with me. And I don't know why, but that's why I think it's really important to give your kids the opportunities to try lots of different things to see, what sticks with them. And in terms of motivation, it's why do I still play tennis now, 30 years later? I think for me, it's because I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I love being on court. I love competing. I love, challenging myself, playing people who are better than me. When I was growing up, the best thing for me was to play against all the boys, because boys different than girls. They're quicker on the court. They're stronger. And even as I was growing up, and even now, I train with a lot of the men at the club just because, they challenge me in a way that the women maybe don't, so that when I do compete against women, it's almost easier in a sense. So, yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but it was internal motivation. It was just something that I really enjoyed doing, and that's why I still do it today.
Okay, so it was fun and passion. Okay, Ravindu, can I ask you what motivated you to be our local Tendulkar?
Hey, thanks, man. That's not a comparison, please. It's at a different level. But for certain, I think we're starting at a young age, and our influences were very much that it's not a judgment on any parent today. I'm a parent as well. We didn't have the video games, the iPads, the phones, etc. We were brought up in a very different era. We were simply expected to go to school, come back, do your bit, and then do whatever else there is. So we had this social complex where we used to go to, and that's where we just took out everything that we wanted to. And there was the squash courts, tennis courts, swimming, table tennis, volleyball, you name it, every single sport. This was mentioned earlier on. Allow everybody to play the sports, or the children to play the sport that's available. In this day and age is a little bit difficult. But what we had going for us was this continuous drive and motivation internally amongst a good group of colleagues around us. So many who are not on this panel, but who are probably at all our levels. Mayra mentioned many names. I can go back and mention, there's an interesting question that popped up from Pratik. You talk about the era, Rohin, Kushal, you name it, the list is endless. Kamal can come up with many of these names, Chirag, Mili as well. That we were already fortunate. Bhavish can come up with names where we played with so many different people on ground here locally, Oshwals, non-Oshwals. Just the fact that we were involved in either academies or complex or clubs kept us engaged. And that, I think, is the first starting point to take it to the next levels. And it's not that it's not available today. It is available. There's many academies, many clubs that have got this going. It's just a concept of how much we want to get our kids ourselves involved in giving that opportunity. What sport to pursue comes a little later on. If we don't give them that opportunity and then we want them to try and compete against others, it's a tough one. Huh? Even us at our all six of us at our different levels, and being as trained as we were, technically and mentally and physically, it's difficult to compete. So to throw in the younger guys into the deep end is not an easy place to be. And I know it from my own experiences. I've got two little girls. Speaking from experiences. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Ravindu. And yeah, good points you raised where it seems like the vibe we had like 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, with everyone thriving at complex is dying out. So one reason for this talk was, how do we revive that? And hopefully we've got members of the Oshwal Sports Committee here as well. But yes, how do our children have that same type of sports like we did? And then they can find the angle. I'll move on to another question. And again, Oshwals might not like it, but we're finding a lot of Oshwals are going into drinking from a younger age. So I wanted to ask, because all of you are elite athletes, what is the effect of alcohol in your sport and in training? And does it really compromise you or not? I'll start with Kamal.
I think it's a very good question. Most of my coaches in South Africa used to tell me that if you decide to have a beer, you've got to swim another 10 kilometers the next session. So I think basically the end game is alcohol has hindrances. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to drink, but I think it must be controlled. And I'll speak from my own experience. I think my first beer or my first alcohol sip I did was after I had stopped swimming in 1999. And I think I must have had maybe this much of a beer. And even today, even if I do have something, I think the maximum I can drink is maybe one and a half beers. That's the maximum I can drink. So my system doesn't have that capacity. I think the other thing in terms of, alcohol is, it's addictive, and it has repercussions. So whatever rubbish you've done in your 20s and 30s, it will catch up to you in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. And we see that in our community, that health issues like diabetes, heart attacks, strokes. If you're a smoker, certain things happen to you. And I'm not saying that, that those bad habits lead to some of these issues that you have later on in life. It can even happen to us. I mean, we are more prone to a lot of health diseases because we were competing at a certain level, So I think bottom line is if you can, try not to start some of these habits at a very early age. And you will have enough time, once you grow up, to enjoy a beer or two.
Okay, thank you, Kamal. Can I ask Chirag the same question? Effect of alcohol on sport. Is there a fine line you can do as a sportsman? Yeah, Chirag?
Yeah, so I've got a slightly different view. My view is more about balance. And the reason I say that is it depends on why you are having a little beer or not, right? So an example I'd say is, for some people, it hinders them, in terms of their performance. But for some people, it's something that they look forward to end of the day, to have a beer. I'm not saying, in moderation, after training really hard and saying, I'm going to have that one beer. An example is just, a couple of my friends, they were top 10 in the world in squash, right? Two of them, they played the semifinals. They were staying together in the same house. One of them is like, he's a Spanish guy, goes and he's like, okay, I'm gonna eat my beans and my rice and, measure everything up. And then one of my really good friends, who's playing in the final, he's like, oh, let's go to Pizza Express. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, just come. We go to Pizza Express. First thing he orders is an ice cream. I'm like, you're playing a final tomorrow. What are you doing? Then he has the pizza. And the whole thing for me he explained to me, was like, listen, I trained so hard and put in so many hours. This is my outlet. If I was just a robot the whole time, I would not be able to express myself on court. So for me, the key insight for me is about moderation. It's about, don't feel like you can't have a drink. You need to do your work. You need to put in your hours, like Kamal said. You need to do all of that. But with a little bit of moderation, if that's going to release you, if that's going to make you feel better at the end of the day, mentally release, it's okay having a beer.
Okay, thank you. Mayurbhai, can I ask you your thoughts on alcohol and Oshwal's focusing more on choreographs now than sports, and how can we change that? Yes.
Sure. That's a very, very tough question. I think excellent. It's the reality. The young generation, as Ravindu pointed out, another panelist, the iPhone, the iPads, and digitalization sometimes leads to lack of sports because of the video games. I think alcohol is a bit of hindrance, especially when you are young, especially when you are, sports is normally started at a very young age, normally primary going into secondary. And till, of course, 18 and 21, like in US, you're not allowed any drinks, here 18. So I think it is important that you have the discipline and the life balance also, as Chirag rightly said, because some people like to have something, but sometimes to have only one is very difficult even at that young age. So I would really advise you have to do away without it for the time till you are there in that circle. And it all depends on your friend circles also, in your sporting fraternity, who are with you, and how great they are into bad habits or not into bad habits. So I think it's very vital that we young Oshwals should know that to be successful in sports, I think we have to have that discipline, especially against alcohol and all other drugs or any other any other intakes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mayurbhai. So as I think as Kamal Bhai and Mayurbhai said, if while you want to excel in your sport, to any youngsters, have your drinks in moderation, and then you can enjoy later. Of course, if you want to be an average player, you can do, but if you really want to excel, you need to have that sacrifice and discipline, like how Kamal had. I'll move on to the next topic. How have any of you overcome a down period in your sporting career, injury, or a loss when you should have won, or you lose a final? How is that upset you, and how have you come back from that? Can we start with Millie on that one? Sorry, Millie, you're on mute.
Sorry, for me, when I've lost matches that, maybe from a winning position, or, that I should have won, you tend to remember those matches a lot more than the ones that you win. And for me, they're just a learning process. So just to learn and try and analyze and figure out, why that happened, so that you can go away and train and practice, whatever you realize your weaknesses are, go and work on that so that you don't do it again. Sometimes it's a particular stroke that let you down. Sometimes it's the mental side of the game that let you down. Maybe you got tight in those difficult points. So yeah, for me, it's just trying to learn from those experiences, and then going away and trying to come back better than before.
Okay, thank you, Millie. Bhavnish, can I ask you, because I've just started playing golf, so I know golf, you can have a bad day, you can have a good day. Yeah, how do you overcome a bad day or a bad patch?
Sure. Thanks, Vishal. So, golf is quite a unique sport, I guess, similar to tennis. And Millie has actually summed it up quite nicely. But because it's an individualistic sport, you tend to, well, I felt that, I just don't like losing. And when it does happen, it gets you down. But it comes down to two things. One is learning from that experience, because every experience imparts a memory. And if you're extremely negative about that memory, then it haunts you, in the next few games that you play. So you've got to really learn to trust your process, train your mental game. That's how you deal with a lot of these situations. And a lot of emphasis is still not put into training your mind. A lot of people work, on golf at the range, work on the physical technique, work on so many facets of the game, but the mental game is really ignored. And I think that's where you sort of learn how to take those experiences, make them positive, and just get yourself better. And there's so many books out there that help you with those situations. At the moment, I'm reading a book called The Inner Game of Golf. It's an amazing book. And there's also a psychologist called Dr. Bob Rotella, who sort of teaches you how to handle certain situations, when it's not going your way. So there's a lot of information out there, but it's easy to say take it positively, but it takes time. It really takes time to understand how to swallow a loss. But look, for every win, there's going to be a loss, and you've got to accept it when it does come.
Okay, thanks, Bhavnish. Good words. Ravinder, can I ask you, I know there are many times, let's say you try out for the Kenya team, you don't make it, or they're only selecting 5 players, you're the 6th, you don't go on the flight. Yeah, how do you overcome that? What advice do you have for people?
The easy thing to say is keep trying, work hard, keep at it. It's a tough one, even when that happens to anybody. Some good pointers from Millie and Avnish as well there. But I think everyone who actually makes it to a level of any team, let's talk at a different level. Sort of our level, yes, we got there, but it started from small steps. Your first school team, your first could be the under 9s, under 11s, under 13s, from a team sport perspective, or even in an individual sport perspective. You had to compete in a pool of different players to qualify for that. So your ability at that stage, and then this is very important for everyone to remember, that because I did it yesterday means I can do it, but that means I've got to up it tomorrow. Every day you actually try to improve on it is how you will actually get to the next level. Even in the under 11 categories, you are still competing amongst many other children along the way in individual sports, team sport. So you got to keep at it. You've got to keep trying at it. The fact that you made it there in the first place means you're good enough to be there. Yeah, so that is an important plus point and a motivation point for your own self to carry forward, that this is going to allow me the platform to get to the next level. Today, I say, for example, in my sport, I went out there and I had to bat and I got 5 for that matter, only 5 runs. Next week, I got 30 runs. The week after, I got 50, I got 60, I got 70. And each and every single experience is not to forget, to remember, to build on. So it's not just about at the top level. It starts from grassroots level. Confidence, motivation starts from that level, and then you build on it and keep building on it. Nobody, started becoming superstars from just being at the top. It starts from the bottom level. And encouragement, family, friends, teammates, colleagues, elders around you, people who've played the game. Those are important core things in life that allow the younger ones to keep building on. As you get older and as you get to a more professional sort of stage and where you're competing against a lot of the best, you got a lot of support. You got a lot of psychologists around. You've got a lot of trainers around. You've got a lot of technical support around. They will take you to that next level. They will lead you to that, and that's what Bhavnesh was talking about there. But before that level, I think it's important to encourage each and every one. You get a 0, come back home and pat him on the back, because you know what, he was out there. He gave it his best. But then you build on that. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Ravindu. Really good words. The next question I'm going to ask all 6 of you panelists, because I've seen a lot of questions from parents and youngsters in the group, and even to me on a private chat. I want each one of you to give advice to parents and youngsters. How do they excel in sports, and maybe your specific sport in like Kamal for swimming? Can you give swimming expertise to any parents who want their children to become good swimmers? And then the other thing is, can you touch on what is the right age of your particular sport when the child or the parent can say, fine, you specialize in this sport? Kamal, can we start with you?
All right. I'll try and address the first one. I think for swimming, I would say let each and every kid swim. Number one, it's a key skill that you need. When you go to the beach, you need to swim. You need to, enjoy the beach, enjoy the warm water. So I think swimming is something that should be part and parcel of any sport that you introduce your kids. Now, number two is, and it's a very tough question to answer, that at what age, a kid should specialize. I think let your children, I mean, for us, during our times, it was maybe the age of 12, 13, where, we were slowly nudged towards, okay, push to this sport. But these days, I think you have a lot of people who are, even peaking in their 40s. I know 1 or 2 Olympic gold medalists from the States. I think at the age of 39 or 40, they were on the podium. So it's a whole lifelong process in this. And if your child enjoys the sport, then nudge them there. If they don't enjoy it and they don't want to do it, then maybe it's time to step back and then maybe, nudge them into a different type of sport. I hope I've answered it. It's a tough one because I'm not a parent myself, but I can just talk from my own personal experience.
Okay, thank you. Chirag, can I ask you the same question? And yeah, if anyone wants to go into squash, what are the specifics a parent or a youngster can work on?
Yeah. So the first thing I'd say is similar to what Kamal, I guess, Ravindu was saying, was at a young age, it's much more about playing any sport. It's not about going specific into squash. For me, I wouldn't suggest directing anyone into a particular sport. Expose them to as many sports as they want, choose which one they really enjoy. And I think just unpicking the word enjoyment, it isn't just about the fun. For some people, it could be that gives them their confidence. For some people, it's more about that's their ability to release. For some people, it's their ability to disconnect. So it's find that reason why someone's going to keep on wanting to play that sport again. And that by automatic, they'll lead to doing their 10,000 hours because they'll want to keep on playing it. They'll want to keep on playing it. And that by default will make them much better in that sport. That's from personal experience. For me, I started off squash was a little bit of fun and I just really enjoyed it. And for me, it was massive release. It was the competition element, the strategy element. There's so many different bits in it that I really enjoy that I just wanted to always be back on court. Sometimes in the evening at 9 o'clock, we'd be at Oshwal complex and they'd be kicking everyone else out and Vishal and me would be playing there. And they'd be like, get out. And we'd be like, no, one more game. They'd be like, okay, we'll wait for one more game, and that was more just about the drive, wanting to keep playing it. And then once, like everyone said, once you get better and stuff, you might want to get a bit of coaching. But I would say, my big belief in it is about 70% of it comes just from playing a sport. 20% comes from learning from others, friends, family, watching. Nowadays, you can watch on YouTube. And then the 10% comes from coaching when you want to really refine and can't unlock some elements.
Okay, thank you. So you are basically saying to parents, let your child come to you that mom, dad, I love this particular sport, and then you push them, but you don't decide for them from an early age what they should focus on. Bhavnish, can I ask you your thoughts on golf? Because myself, I just started golf and I regret not starting earlier. But do you think there's a right age to start golf? Or yeah, what's your thoughts? Bhavnish, are you on?
Bhavnish, you're on
Sorry,
mute.
Sorry, I was on mute. So I was just saying I totally agree with what Chirag and the other panelists have said so far. Vishal, I would say starting at any sport at an early age is obviously an advantage. So, expose your kids to as much sport as possible. I would never sort of say push them into one direction. Let them come and speak to you about if they want to. Otherwise, let them choose their own path. But a really important aspect is that humans can only learn speed up to a certain age. So, you go through growth spurts, and the same way you go through speed spurts. So if you pass your last speed spurt, which they say is between sort of 11 and 14, you're at a disadvantage. So, encourage your kids, whether it's throwing a ball, kicking a ball, running down a field, whatever it may be, cycling, really encourage them to do whatever they're going to do, outdoor activities, because once that period is gone, it's very difficult to catch up. So you might see in golf, Vishal, specifically, maybe not for yourself because you played squash at a very high level, but you see people starting in their 30s and 40s who can't hit the ball as far as their potential should allow them to do. And that's just because they haven't learned speed previously. So, it's important to start at a young age, but I wouldn't push any kid into a specific direction. Let them take their own path.
Okay, because yeah, golf is one of those sports where unless the parents get involved, a child just can't play it. Whereas football, swimming, you can start from a young age, much easier. But yes, if any parents have any specific golf questions, can we share your email to them later on?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm just noting the time. I'll come back to this question later on to the rest of the panelists. I just want to move on to the next few things and then the quick fire. My next point is on sports and its relation to meditation. I'm sure all you panelists have been in something called the zone. Myself, when you're playing a sport or you're in a final, time slows down, the spectators are blurry, you don't care about anything but you and your next shot or something. Can I ask each one of the panelists, have you been in the zone? You can give me a quick yes or no and give a brief description of when. Ravindu, can I start with you?
Yeah, I think this happens to all of us, whether you're in this panel or if you're even playing a school sport as well. I think when you're against an opponent where you feel you're under pressure, you have to outwit the opponent. It could be any sport for that matter. Personally, for me, it happened in the 2003 World Cup. I was facing, I was actually on the opposite side when I saw Brett Lee hit Kennedy Obuya on the elbow, which ricocheted on the stumps. Bridge Patel got caught first slip. David Obuya got yoked, got bowled out. So it was a hat trick. There was myself and Steve Ticolo. We were 3 wickets down for 3 runs. So it was either that we dig in deep and really dig in deep and battle our way out of this, or we just, just accept that Australia is bigger and better and stronger. They are stronger. They are better. They're a different unit. But it didn't stop us digging in deep and working hard and working together through that sort of little challenge patch. And then what came out was quite special as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Ravindu. Yeah, Mayurbhai, have you ever been in the zone where nothing else matters and time is slowed down when you're playing table tennis?
Oh yeah, many times. It's normally we always believe that as we say, losing is way to success. Sometimes the atmosphere is different. Example, when I went first time being a junior player in Cairo, Egypt, the atmosphere was very different. It was very warm temperatures, very different than what we are used to. And it's all the adjustment you have to do, Unfortunately, I lost in the quarterfinals to the All Africa champion. It was the Egyptian, whom I lost in the final game of 19. And I really thought, because I was not in that zone, and that I could not go into the temperament and the temperature controls around there, that led me into the loss. But every time you go on a continuous improvement and be positive in your thinking, that you can come back, So that's, I think, my side of the story. Thank you. Thank you.
Kamal, can I ask you? Because when you're in the pool, you don't know who's in the lane next to you. It's just you doing your strokes in the water. I'm sure you've been in the zone.
Yeah, many times. But I think with our sport, the beautiful thing was there was this black line, and you could go, you had to swim as quick as possible to the other side. So I totally agree with what Ravindu and Mayurbhai has said. I think it comes many times. I don't have a specific situation, because I think with swimming, it was you against yourself. It was not against other competitors, and it was me against the clock. So, we had to psych up and make sure you remain focused. And I also see that in my personal life today, when I'm doing a certain task or I'm doing something, that discipline is there, that focus on that specific task, complete it, and then we move on to the next stage.
Okay, thank you. Millie, can I ask you, when have you been in the zone? If you have, in which match or?
I mean, it happens, it happens all the time, where, it's all about your focus, being able to concentrate and really block out all the other distractions. And suddenly, you see the ball really well, and you're moving well to get to the right place to hit the ball. And it does happen. And I guess the question is how to make it happen, more, so that, you can continue to play well. And tennis is such an individual sport for the most part, that it really is you against your opponent out on the court. So the more you can block out all the distractions, and, sometimes you have all sorts of things. You've got noise from the spectators, or, even if you're just playing at the local club, for example, we've got like the tube line that runs by us making a lot of noise. And so it's just a matter of trying to block out all those distractions and really focus on what you're trying to achieve. And in tennis, really, we talk about just playing each point like it's the most important point. And if you can do that, then, you really can play you can end up playing well in that zone, rather than thinking about the score or what you need to do next, or trying maybe getting too far ahead with what's happening. It's all about really concentrating on the one point at a time, and trying to play it as well as you can.
Thanks, Millie. Lovely answer. And yeah, that was a good question. Whenever I'm in the zone, I've always asked myself, how can I do more of these? And then you feel untouchable. Chirag, any thoughts how an athlete can be in the zone more regularly?
Yeah, you can train yourself. So, one of the things I do is teach yoga, and it's about, meditation, visualization. So I don't know, I'm sure a lot of these guys would have used it. One of the things I used to use quite a lot before I played was visualize what's my best game I've ever had. How do I want to feel when I play? And the more you train your mind to do that, the more when you go into the match, you play that way. And it's more feeling. And, the book that Bhavnesh referenced, it's called The Inner Game of Tennis or Golf. He talks about this thing about how getting to the zone is basically stopping your conscious, right? When you're thinking about your conscious and your strokes or all of that, it means, you're in your conscious, in the flow, and it's about letting your subconscious and trusting your subconscious and letting that come to the fore. So the whole process is about how do you switch off your conscious and trust your subconscious. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Chirag. I'm just conscious of time, so I'm going to go to one more open-ended question to the panelists, and then we'll move on to the quick fire, and then we'll see how things go. I want to ask each one of you, what has sports given you apart from your trophies? What has it given to your life? Or can we start with you, Mayurbhai?
Very good question. To the viewers, I think, and as I said on my first statement, sports is as equal as education. And in today's world, even maybe more. It is your recognition and appreciation that you get around. For example, myself, I had a personal audience in 1978 with His Excellency, the first president, Jomo Kenyatta and Mama Gina. You know, that in life was something. You know, meeting a president in personal audience, that is something. Secondly, winning awards like Orbit Sports Award. Me and Akhil Lakhani, who was a cricketer at Ruaraka and Kenyan player, we were together nominated. And it was a great honor to be on the same table with him and being senior. I think it is very, very important that we get into this zone, the high skill level, that wherever you go, I think when you say you play sports and wherever you are, that gives you a plus A point, definitely. And it has really given value addition to my business and entrepreneurship and business also levels. And as my mentor, Mr. Tony Robbins, one of the great mentor of all times, I think he says sports is the most important in our welfare of our health, wealth, and the well-being, you know. So I would really ask all the parents, please encourage your children, not only in education to get A's and B's, but in sports and get a discipline which they enjoy, and then you will see in the end they will become a winner. That's my experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayubai. And yeah, to all Oshwal even elders who think they need to sacrifice business for sports, as Mayubai said, and he's one of our most prominent businessmen in the Oshwal community, sports is as important. Bhavnish, can I ask you what sports has given you apart from the trophies?
Thanks, Vishal. Yeah, you know, sports for me is everything. I mean, it's given me so much perspective in life. It's a true equalizer. You know, be it gender, race, ego, age, whatever it is. When you're playing golf or when you're playing football or any other sport for that matter, it really does not matter. You know, it's you and the sport and the people you're playing against. So it's a wonderful equalizer. It gave me maturity at a very young age. It sort of gave me discipline to be able to compartmentalize. I don't know, it's kind of a funny word, but you know, to show what's important when you're doing it. So when you're playing golf, you're focused on golf, but because it takes a lot of time, it means that you've got to take your studies seriously as well and plan yourself. And now, even from a family perspective, you know, you've got to balance between when you're playing golf, when you're at work, when you're with the kids. So it really gives you that discipline to manage your life in the right way. And I've been very fortunate to be sort of involved on a leadership level with the game as well. So it's taught me a lot of facets on that front. So, you know, sports really, Vishal, it's something that nobody should do without. It just teaches you so much about life. You know, and it's a great thing. I would encourage every parent or anyone who doesn't play sport, get into any sport. Bridge is a sport, you know, darts is a sport. So there's a lot of options out there, and it'll really give you perspective in life as well.
Thanks, Bhavnish. Nice thought. Kamal, what has sports given you apart from being on the Olympics and everything? Yeah.
I think my whole life changed from sports. I don't come from a financially wealthy background, so it really created opportunities for me. And I thank my mom and dad for this. I think what Bhavnesh said, what Mayurbhai has said, I think it's a key thing that everybody must, maybe it should be compulsory in the schooling system that, you know, one sport is compulsory. And the school that I was very fortunate to study in South Africa, a great college, it was mandatory that each and every term that you must have either an extracurricular activity like music or some sort of club that you are part of, or you must be in a sport. So it could be a you know, cricket team, and we had, I think, about 5 or 6 levels of cricket teams. So the A team, the B team, C team, D team, E team. So I don't know how the schooling system is now, but if you do have a chance, and it doesn't make a difference in which school you are in, or maybe it does. I'm not so sure, but keep encouraging your kids to do what needs to be done. At least one sport is something that needs to be done. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Chirag, what has sports given you on a personal level?
Yes, on top of what these guys are saying, it's for me the ability to learn how to connect. Because you play with so many different people, you meet so many different people, you learn how to socialize, you learn how to connect with people in a very different way. And you get exposed to so many different cultures and abilities. So, I use that every day now. I feel like it makes it very easy for me to be able to connect with a lot more people than if I hadn't played sports. But apart from that, exactly what these guys are saying, the ability to focus, Kamal, totally hear that. It's sometimes at work when I'm sitting there, people get really frustrated with me because they ask me a question and I'm so focused. They're like, and I go, huh, what's going on? It's because I'm so focused, and I learned that from sports. And then resilience, I guess. I always know I have that thing. Whenever you're going through a tough time in any other bits, you've been through that in sport, and you can always draw on that experience. And you're like, you know what? I put myself through those hours of training, go back to that experience and be like, all right, this is easy, whatever I'm doing now compared to what I was doing then. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Chirag. Ravindu, what has sports given you?
It's been fantastic. I'm on the panel thanks to sports. It's been a great journey. I think singling out any specific one would probably not be fair to the other. The opportunity to compete, the opportunity to be involved, I wasn't one who wanted to always be academic as well. So it was nice to be able to throw the bags away as soon as I got home, run to the complex, be part and parcel of a different mindset. It created a real totalness, a complete sort of picture where you can study when you have to study, you get the opportunity to go and focus on different sport activities. Then you come back, you re-engage. In life today, we have a lot of challenges, all of us in our different ways. This last 18 months has taught us very many different things. We got to adapt, we got to do things differently, we've got to multitask, bring up families, try and find work, do lots of different things. As long as your mind is able to continue doing that, you will find ways to overcome challenges, not totally overcome them, but find ways to deal with them, and much more simpler ways. I think sport is a leveler and a half. You don't have to be best in the world to be beaten. You don't have to be best in the world to be the champion. You've just got to be able to participate, be continuously involved in this at different levels. And we're seeing this in our own community today. If you look at our facilities, we have youngsters, we have 75, 80-year-olds swimming still today. So it doesn't limit us who we are, what age we're at, what category we're at. Of course, our intensity of how much we perform along the way, it differs, but it's there for everyone. It's just a question of taking it up, making the most out of it, and having fun with it and around it at all different levels. Sports has given me that wonderful opportunity. You've got to have fun around this. You've got to have fun in everything you do along the way. And fortunate to be able to take it to a new level, where as an Oshwal to be able to compete. There are many before me who have competed at similar levels, if not even more potentially. Different times, different eras, but each one judges on what's out there today on media to compare it with. In the past, there wasn't so much emphasis, but today there is. Having said all that, I think most important is to enjoy most of what has come out of it. Meeting so many personalities, competitors who today we have seen, the Virat Kohlis, and Amirbai mentioned dignitaries, the Queen, Nelson Mandela. I mean, the list is endless. But it's just, it's fulfilling. It's fulfilling to a level where I don't get the same sort of enjoyment around the parties, the discos, the interactions otherwise. And sport also allows us to have careers out of sport as much as in sport. Businesses, top quality jobs, being recognized in our fields, and which was mentioned earlier on, we've got Millie, we've got Chigs. Sport is a career today. If you look at all over the world today, focus on the Olympics. Our chairman said that's starting tomorrow. Look at how much sport is going to happen and continue in the most difficult times we live in my lifetime. We haven't gone through world wars, but we've got a pandemic going on. The Olympics is still going to go on. Yeah, so enjoy it.
Yes. Thanks, Ravindu. Sorry to cut you. I just want to move on. But in summary, I know, Millie, I missed you on this question, but I want to move on. But in summary, to all the audience, parents, everyone listening, all the panelists have said sports is like a metaphor of life. They've learned so much from it. They've met so many people, so many personalities, so many races. So I think every Oshwal needs to really go back into sports or try it if they haven't. I'll now move on to the quick fire, the fun part of this. So to all the panelists, I'm going to ask you 14 or 15 quick fire questions. I just need 1 word or 2 word answers. This time we'll start with the youngest. We'll start with Chirag, and then I'll move on to all of you. So Chirag, are you ready?
Let's try it out.
Okay. Who is your favorite sports person of all time?
Lance Armstrong.
Okay. Who is your sport?
Sorry, I missed that, Vishal.
Who is your sports mentor? Can you hear me?
Yeah. When I was younger, it was you.
Okay. Okay. Who is the best in your particular sport ever, according to you?
Jamshid Khan.
Okay. So, which is your best brand of sports clothing?
I mean, Nike overall, but from a squash point, Technifiber.
Okay. Which is your favorite football team in the English Premier League?
Has to be Liverpool.
You don't have a team?
I said it has to be Liverpool.
Okay.
Can you not hear,
Okay.
Vishal?
What's your favorite food?
I laugh.
Can hear. What's your favorite food?
I laugh. It's mutter. I used to actually be, when I was a kid, I used to eat a lot of peas, so they used to call me mutter.
Okay. What can't you do without, routine-wise or equipment-wise or clothing-wise, before a big match or before training?
Music. I need to listen to some music to get me in the zone.
Music. Okay, so yeah, my next question. What's your favorite song to train to or before a big match?
It really depends on the mood I'm in. Eye of the Tiger is the one that calls out now.
Okay. What's your favorite sports movie of all time?
Oh, good question. I would say, what's the Formula One one? The one.
Quick fire.
The Formula One one. I've forgotten the name now. Maradona. Otherwise, the movie was beautiful.
Okay, sorry. Okay, fine. And last question: Pele or Maradona?
Maradona for sure.
Interesting. Lance Armstrong is a controversial sportsman. So if we have time, maybe we'll ask you why is he your favorite sports person of all time. I'll move on to Kamal. Kamal, your favorite sports person of all time?
Ooh, Usain Bolt.
Okay, of all time. Wow, he's quite a newcomer in sports. Nice one. Okay, your sports mentor?
That's a good one. I think I had an Italian coach who had who was an Olympic coach, Marco Pargiani. I think he was my mentor. Yeah.
Okay. According to you, who has been the best swimmer ever?
I think Phelps. I mean, Michael Phelps with his, amazing skills. But there are more swimmers coming up. But yeah, Phelps, yeah.
Okay. So you prefer Phelps to Thorpe, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I swam during Thorpe's time. But,
Which is your favorite brand of?
Nike.
Okay. Which is your favorite brand of sports clothing? In your case, it's only chuddies. So yeah, which are your favorite chuddies?
That's a good one. I think maybe Speedo.
Has to be Speedo. Okay. What has been the best and worst moments in swimming for you?
The best was, I think, when I won a few medals in the African Championships, I think in 1998 here in Kenya. So that was home ground. I think the worst would be is maybe not making the qualification standards for certain of the races that I had prepared for over a period of time. So this must have been 1998. Yeah.
Your favorite song to listen to before a big swim or before training?
I was not much into music, so I think I don't have any favorite songs, or any favorite music.
Okay. Okay. Your favorite sports movie?
I think many, but what comes to mind is Lagan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And last one for you. Messi or Ronaldo?
Ooh. Messi.
Okay. Okay. I'll move on to you, Ravindu. Your favorite sports person of all time?
Wow. Favorites all time. That's a interesting one. It's a tough one. But we've got so many. I think for me, he's still ongoing. Eliud Kipchoge.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, and good. Thank you for supporting Kenya. Who's your sports mentor?
A few over the years, in many different ways. I think the most encouraging over the years is probably my dad. From a technical perspective, Bob Ulmer.
Okay, thank you. According to you, who is the best cricket player ever?
That's loaded, man. I've got a few numbers right now that are going to start pinging. If I say one word, the other guy will call me. If I call the other guy, he's going to. Oh, jeez. Thanks, Vishal. I would like to say
tell him to...
the wall. I think Rahul Dravid summarizes many, many different ways of a cricketer, or as a person, as a being, even after his cricket as well. He's giving back to cricket in many ways.
Okay, interesting. Because I don't think many laymen would say Rahul Dravid. Many would say Tendulkar or Brian Lara. But yeah, interesting. What's your best brand of sports clothing?
We wore so many different brands. I would like to pick Adidas. I think in my footwear that I used.
Okay, yeah, not to get you in trouble, but which is the best brand of cricket bat? If any parents want to go and
many parents want to go and buy cricket bats. Okay, I think SG is a good brand.
Okay. Do you have a favorite song to listen to while training or before a big match to psych yourself up?
I think at our time, it was probably, I probably wasn't listening to music as much. I was trying to focus on the ball coming to me, but more often than not, I think there's some good songs that you can listen to motivate yourself. And I think today it would probably be the Katy Perry, The Roar, kind of gives you a bit of a oomph, I know Chigs is actually just about to say something.
Yeah. Okay. What's your favorite sports movie?
So I think there's a lot of inspirational ones there. I think Lagan, which was already mentioned earlier on, does stand out. We had this incredible movie about the ladies hockey team, the Indian ladies hockey team. I forget the name, but yeah.
Yeah.
So those are really inspirational. You know, when you see that happen
thanks.
as a team sport and individuals as well. Thanks. Chuck Day, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. And last question: when you're traveling for a big match or a trip, is there something you definitely need to pack, like a bandana or a favorite pair of socks or something?
Probably some teplas.
Ah, okay. So you can't do without your teplas. Okay, fine. Okay. We'll move on to Mayur Bhai. Mayur Bhai, your favorite sportsman of all time?
My favorite, it will be Henry Rono. I just want to remind you, Henry Rono was one of the greatest athlete of all times. I met him in 1978 All Africa Games, Algiers. Unfortunately, Kenya boycotted twice Olympic Games. He was the world champion in five events, and he was the captain of the team. And unfortunately, because both times we couldn't, he was a four-time world record holder in 4 events. There's no other athlete who has broken 4 world records in 1 year. That's why, to me, he's the greatest of all. Followed by the coolest guy I've ever seen in sports, Roger Federer, my hero. Third would be Tiger Woods, but unfortunately, due to his bad habits, unfortunately, I wouldn't recommend it. But as a player, super.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have a sports mentor? And if so, who?
Yeah, the mentor used to be a Chinese fellow called Lang Liang. He was the ex-world champion and a brilliant guy, excellent technocraft, yes. So during my young days, but now not much in touch with him. Yeah, when I went in Pyongyang 1979 at North Korea, I had a discussion with him and he was there, and after winning, we got 5-10 minutes with him. He gave a booklet written in Chinese, then I translated to get into English, his techniques and all that beautiful philosophy. I think I still have it. Maybe can pass on to young generations.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. According to you, who is the best table tennis player ever? And apologies, I don't know many table tennis players offered worldwide. Yeah.
Wow. Very tough question. There was Takashima Norio from Japan, a defensive player. That such a great defense that all the attacking guys were very afraid of him because he would keep on defending till you get tired. So he was one of the favorite, and the other 2-3 Chinese, I can't recall their names. Super, and then there is Yugoslavian player, Mr. Surbek. He was an excellent player. Yes, thank you.
Okay. I know you're a foodie. What's your favorite food?
Being in Kenya, Karoga. Karoga, you can have all the different, especially the egg chapo.
Egg chapo. Okay.
And chevdo.
Yeah. Which is the best live sports event you've attended anywhere in the world?
Live sports event attended. I think
not to play, but as a spectator.
Participated, meaning as an audience. Yeah, I think
as a spectator. As a spectator.
As a spectator, yeah, it was a match between India and Pakistan. In South Africa, although Ravindu was playing the other quarterfinals, and our heart was with Kenya, but we always on phone or on at that time we didn't have this mobile phones that powerful. But our hearts was with Kenya when they went into the semi-finals. But we saw the India-Pakistan match. That was an excellent cricket because of the rivalry. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's your favorite sports movie, if you have one?
Yeah, it was the NFL football, American football, where a guy who was a little bit special needs guy and who came to win in the championship. It was a high school event. And being special needs and came to win, that was something, because it was a team effort, not one man. Yes, I can't remember the name, but he's an NFL.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Pele or Maradona?
Being the oldie, I would say still Pele. Yeah, Maradona because the hand goal, I wouldn't say. Thank you.
Okay. I'll move on to you now. Who's your favorite sports person of all time?
Are you asking me?
Yes, Millie. Yes.
Roger Federer.
Okay. So then I guess it's going to answer the next question. Who, according to you, is the best tennis player ever?
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking me men's, I would say Roger Federer. And if you're asking me women's, somebody like Steffi Graf or Martina Navratilova.
Okay. You think they're better than Serena Williams?
No, I mean, maybe for me, they're more special because they are the ones that I looked up to when I was growing up. They are the ones who were playing at that time. I think Serena Williams is obviously, she's won more Grand Slams and she's done better than them in terms of her winning record. But in terms of the way that they play, the style of tennis that they play, I definitely would pick Steffi Graf and Martina Navratilova.
Okay. Which is your favorite brand of tennis racket?
I play with Yonex. So, yeah, Yonex.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Which has been your best and worst moment in sports as your own career?
I mean, best moment was being selected to play for Great Britain at the World Championships in Miami. And worst moments is I think when I've been injured with long-term injury and not been able to play or train or do anything, and that's tough when you're used to being so active.
Okay. What's your favorite food?
I don't know. Pizza, maybe. My husband makes amazing pizza, so probably that's it.
Do you have a song you listen to while training or before a tough match to inspire you?
I'm not really big into listening to songs, but sometimes, it's got to be that upbeat music that kind of fires you up. So I think Chirag mentioned something like Eye of the Tiger, something really uplifting.
Eye of the Tiger is so cliche. Every sportsman listens to that song. I thought you guys would have some unique ones. But yeah. Okay. What's your favorite sports movie?
Battle of the Sexes. It was a tennis film where Billie Jean King woman player took on Bobby Riggs. And I think this was back in the 70s when tennis was very much a chauvinistic sport and men thought that they were better than women. So that was pretty cool movie.
Okay, thank you, Millie. I'll move on to Bhavnish. Bhavnish, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, Bhavnish, we'll try and go a bit faster. I can just I see time is getting a bit late. A favorite sports person of all time?
Before today, Muhammad Ali. After today, Ravindu Shah.
Yeah. Okay. Your sports mentor?
It has to be my coach, Peter Tupling from the UK.
Okay. Best ever golfer, according to you?
Tiger Woods.
Vishal?
Hi, Vishal, can you hear me?
I think the Wi-Fi is gone.
I can hear you. Yeah. Your best brand of clothing in golf?
Probably
Your best
FootJoy.
brand of clothing? And your favorite sports event you've attended live as a spectator?
Wimbledon.
Any particular match?
There were quite a few that we watched, so not in particular, but just the entire day was just something else to be there.
Okay. Do you have a routine before you hit your drives? Do you have to wear only one glove, or do you have to wear your cap sideways? Do you have a special routine?
Not a quirky routine, just the normal practice routine. So no, nothing crazy.
Nothing crazy. Okay. What's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Ah, okay. Another one. Okay. Thanks, Bhavnish. Yeah. Kamal, I'm not done fire round with you, have I yet?
You have.
I have.
Don't anymore.
Okay. Great. So I've covered all 6 of you. Thanks a lot. I think we can. I'm just bring the time. I think we can ask the audience for questions. I know there's a good question by Pratik. Is Pratik still online?
Vishal, also there's two, I think somebody by the name of Chandni and somebody else raising their hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Vishal. No, I just
Yeah,
had a
Pratik.
question I had in mind was, sorry, the question I had in mind was, all of you guys have kind of come, like I know Kamal, we didn't have much very high level coaching at that time. Right now, I think the opportunities available are a lot more, but I see a lot less coming up. I mean, I don't see any superstars like you guys coming up. I know there are a few, but very few compared to what would be possible. Can you guys throw some light on why and how we can get more of these? Like, we have the best coaching available, but why aren't we getting the kind of things? The determination is maybe not there. How do we get that up? Thanks.
Thanks, Pratik. Does anyone want to pick up that question from the panelists?
Yeah, I can give it a go. I can. Pratik, it's a good question, and I remember playing a lot with you when I was young at Oshwal Complex as well, squash. My view is just about the environment, right? So for me, it's about how do you create an environment where people really want to just keep going back to. From a parent's point, how do you encourage creating that environment, or that the kids want to go and play? From a committee point, it's about how do you create, rather than focusing on having the best changing room facilities, about how do you create that environment you want to play. One thing I always used to be fascinated by when I was younger was the Smiley community. On a Friday evening, all the youngsters would love to go to Kane. It didn't make a difference, and they used to love getting dressed up and going there. There was something special there. So I think it's what makes it work, and how do you get all the kids to be going to, say, complex every weekend and wanting to be there. And that by default will lead to all the hours of playing and the motivation, and all of that will pick up. Thank you.
Thanks, Chirag. There's a question from Mittal Shah. He had asked it quite early on. Mittal, are you on, or do you want me to ask it for you? Mittal? I think.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Mittal. Yes, go for it.
Hi, I'm still here. I'm trying to recall the question I had asked earlier. I think it was about what was your favorite? Would you rather indulge in your favorite food or stick to your strict diet plan that you may have for your performance the next day? Yeah, I think that was the question.
Mavindu, can I ask you to pick this one up?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Mittal. Thanks for the question, and thanks for joining in. Yeah, I think one of the most important things is, a little bit of discipline is important. Not overdoing it on a meal. Lots and lots of rich carbohydrates to just have sufficient energies or more energies. That would be my key. But Chirag was talking about different people having different aspects of how they do it. I personally believe I think a good solid starchy pasta would be a good start.
I completely agree. We before every tennis match, whether when I was young at university, even today, the night before, always have carbs, because you need that slow releasing energy for the day after when you're playing your match, especially when you're playing something like tennis, which can be high intensity. You could be on the court for 2, 3, 4 hours in one go. You need to eat lots and lots of carbs.
Oh, Millie, there might be some keto people here who might not like the statement. Yes. Any other questions from the audience? You can raise your hands and I can pick up, because there's been so much chat, but I've seen some of the panelists have been replying to some of the questions as we go along. There was a question from Amit Shah. Is Amit still around? Amit, if you can raise your hand and I can find you. There's so many people, so I don't know. Okay, we'll move on. I think bearing in time, can I ask all the panelists if they can share their emails and we can send it to the audience. If anyone has any specific questions, we can tell them to direct them to you. So I just want to recap to the audience. So what the panelists have said is, from a young age, enjoy your sports, and you can get parents. You can then nurture your child with a coach on that. But the key is to enjoy your sport, and sport is a way of life. So I think we really need to thrive. So I want to ask the panelists one question, a last question each. If you can just answer in 1 minute and then we wrap up. What can Oshwal as a community do to bring our sports even higher? Kamal, can I start with you?
A good question. I think maybe I think sports scholarships. I think that's something that needs to be brought into mind, because I think we really focus on, my son or daughter got 10 A's in GCSE or 4 A's or 5 A's in, I don't know, IGCSE A levels. So I think maybe sports scholarships is something. The second thing that I also benefited was that, I come from a financially, I'm not a wealthy background. So I think there are a lot of kids in our community who are very talented, but unfortunately they don't have the resources, or their parents don't have the resources to take them to the next level, because sports is becoming an expensive, an activity in this modern age. So maybe if the community can start looking at nurturing some of these kids who are really talented, but they may not have the resources to, take them to the next level. I don't know how those mechanics will work. We have the facilities. It's just a matter of, channeling the right resources. And I think number 3 is if people are really interested in, I'm just talking about swimming, get a heated facility, please, because there are, in this day and age, with the weather patterns changing, you can't get kids to swim in pools of 18, 20 degrees. Things have changed. We did it in our generation, but I think things have changed. So let's move on. And it's not about cold water. It's about improving efficiency in our training patterns, because even training methods have changed. So I think if that can be done, I think we're on the right track with swimming specifically. Yeah.
Thank you, Kamal. So to Unit Chairman, if we can look into Oshwal sports scholarships and getting our pool heated. Ravindu, how can we get complex thriving, like how you mentioned when you were young?
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of other things that kids or children or adults also do today, apart from just having academics and sport as part and parcel of their lives. So it's important to actually integrate sport into your day-to-day. It's a living, it's an opportunity to follow a career today. You know, we've got Chigs, we've got Millie, we've got live examples today, apart from ourselves, who've got the opportunity to take it forward as well. So it gives you a lot more back. It gives you good health, it gives you good diet, it gives you good focus, keeps you away from a lot of the extras, which are probably not as influentially good on you. So what does complex have to do with this is important. Complex, clubs, academies, is to make sure that after the academic day is over, there's enough sport involved in this. A lot of private schools in this country, including our Oshwal school as well, have sport included in the curriculum. I for sure have been fortunate from that. I see my children being fortunate from that opportunity. It really broadens your mind. It gives you a lot of other interactions which you wouldn't get otherwise. It improves your hand-eye coordination, your mental stimulation at different levels, your physical fitness. It's a whole total new game in its own self. And as I said, and I stress on this, you know, it's not that in the past we were all guided to have good academics so that we make sure we go and get our accounting degrees, our business degrees, our doctorates, etc. Sport today gives you a career, be it sport as a player or as a participant in the context of helping out on the medical side of sport. It is, or the psychological side. There's so much more to it. Academies are there. Schools connecting to the complex as a facility. Since we have a facility, important that we allow and open the opportunity. Kamal talked about, giving the opportunity to every single child, if that's a possibility. But I don't want to make it sound like as if the community is not doing much. You know, a lot of chairmans, communities, the hours that have been put into place as a community to take us to where we are today has been incredible. The present committee and the community as a whole has a younger leader and a leadership committee, which themselves, you know, they're sporty, they run marathons, they're involved in squash, they do so much. And already we're seeing the Astro. There's another huge plan, in and around the facility that's ongoing as well. So encouraging each other along the way and helping and support and give a little bit of time towards it as well. That helps as well. So thanks.
Thanks, Ravindu. As Ravindu mentioned, the Astro that's been at Oshwal Center has been a game changer. So many Oshwals who their life was Korogas now play football regularly. So the Astro Committee and where it's been such a beautiful project. To greater heights. Can you hear me? Mayurbhai, can you hear me?
Vishal, we lost you there. Just repeat what you were saying about the Astro. Thanks.
Yes, I was saying that the Astro at Oshwal Center has been a game changer. So many Oshwals whose life was more Korogas and stuff now play regular sports, and the Astro Committee has done an amazing project there, and we hope more projects like that happen at Oshwal Center. Mayurbhai, can I ask you your thoughts on improving Oshwal sports and taking it to a greater height?
Yeah, I think most have been said by Ravindu and other panelists. I think one very important thing is to have sometimes fun days so that the youngsters can enjoy. And when I was young, I think giving rewards, even to the losers, that gives a real confidence and encouragement. Giving a memento, some kind of medallion for participation. That will really bring them into any of the sporting facilities. For myself, I think when I got as the best upcoming player, I thought, I can improve. So I went to the next level. Because of that award, made it a special deal. So I think when we have fun days and events, we can have something like that, Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll wrap up. There are many questions, and what we can do, I might email all of you individually and get everyone else the answers individually. But I just
So
like
can
to
I
wrap
just,
up by saying thank you.
Vishal, can I just make one point?
Yes.
Yeah, just I want to take just one point I want to make to everyone. Like, look, you've had lots of different stories, lots of different beautiful insights into different things. I think overall, for me, there's a massive thing about mindset. You know, there's a big thing about apratonathai, you know, from an Oshwal community, and I think that's the biggest thing for me to take away and say, shift that mindset. It's all possible. It's all, and whatever journey you take, there's so many different people there, but that mindset, I'm hoping this talk in its own is going to shift that mindset for people to feel like, okay, no, we can all do it. Thanks, Fish.
Okay, thanks, Jared. So I really want to thank all the panelists. You've shared some really good stories, and I hope you've inspired people. And I hope everyone is going to be watching the Olympics tomorrow. And I hope Kenya gets many medals in our standard athletics and hopefully others. I just like to end with a quote from my favorite sportsman of all time, Michael Jordan. Never say never, because limits, like fears, are often illusions. So I hope every Oshwal now gets inspired to play sports and doesn't feel limited. Thank you all. And please be safe. And any other talks you want from Oshwal, please email us and we'll try and organize the same. Yeah. And I'd like to say thank you to the panelists again, Mayurbai, Chigs, Ravindu, Bhavnesh. Thank you for logging in from Mara, Millie, our only lady from UK, and Kamal. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Vishal, I got one point. Can I make a point, please?
Yes,
Can I
go
say,
for it.
yeah, I just got a breaking news from somebody who is in sports. The girl's name is Siana Vishal Jetha from London, United Kingdom. She is the national champion in table tennis for under 12 years, under 13 years, and she was runner-up in under 15 years. That is an achievement, a milestone for our community. She is soon going to be represent England also at a country level. So let's have 3 cheers to her for the young girl who has come up from in London. Thank you.
Yeah, and hopefully we hear more stories like that in all types of sports. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Vishal, if I may just add one more thing. I think.
Yeah, sorry, Chairman. You can give your closing remarks.
No, it's just one more thing. I just like to, thank you. It was a fantastic. You're a fantastic host, and thank you to the panelists. All of you guys were so inspiring. I'm sure we're going to have a lot more Oshwals taking up sports after all that you've said today. So thank you so much, Vishal, and all the panelists. Thank you. Okay, Vishal, back to you.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, guys, can we wrap it up? Good night, and I hope everyone's going to wake up tomorrow to do their press ups or sprints or whatever they need to do.